Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Johnny Mac 365 coming to you with a Wednesday word. Good afternoon, my one person in the bushes. Good afternoon. Well, I am not going to delay. Welcome to everyone in the bushes. Okay, let me see what's going on. Oh, there we go. Hey, Miss Etta. Same to you, darling. Same to you. Same to you. Let's see where are we going on here. Hey, JLC 87 Productions. Good afternoon and welcome, Felicia Fee. Welcome, 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 welcome. I'm just here. I know it's been a while since I have been on. Um, it seems like the season for, just taking a break from what have I got these on for? They're not even plugged up. Taking a break from some of the things that we've been experiencing, and just take some time to back up and pull ourselves together. That's one of the things had I have decided to do. It's one of the things decided to do on here. Thank you. Um, all is well. All is well. Thank you. Um, Bird, welcome. Good afternoon. Good evening. Good afternoon. Melancholy, welcome and good afternoon. I appreciate all of you coming in. I appreciate it. Yeah, because some of the things that I have been seeing on here has really been concerning. Uh, we keep saying unbelievable words like unbelievable and um, difficult to believe and hard to wrap our minds around. Angeline Hudson, welcome. Um, however, it seems to be not an imagination. It seems to be real, and it's very exhausting. It becomes very exhausting, especially when you um, intend to maintain a positive attitude and a positive outlook and positive relations and positive thoughts and thoughts of patience and giving a person room to grow. Some of the behaviors, um, they begin to cause you to have second thoughts and even cause you to take an introspective look at one's own self. So, that's kind of something I've been doing, reevaluating my position on certain matters as far as YouTube is concerned. Um, yeah, in relation to everything that's going on, people waging wars and battles and beefs unnecessarily. So, um, you want to sometimes just take a break and sit back and assess the situation and where you fit in and how you fit in and whether or not you want to continue to try to fit in or fit in. Although I'm never really been one to try to fit in on this YouTube thing. I've just been doing me, as I often say, um, staying in my little corner and letting my light shine, staying out of the beef part of it. Um, because there are some things that have been said that in this sector you are going to have beef or prepare yourself for beef. I tend to not totally agree with that, because you don't have to beef if you don't want to. It is a choice. It is a choice. What do I have to beef about? Somebody saying something about me, or doxing me. So often, I find that when you're doxed, there's a lot of times you find out things about a person that you really don't want to know, which should make you afraid, very afraid. So, therefore, um, well, that's just how I feel about it. Um, you know, it's a choice of whether you want to. So I don't think that a person has to uh, beef just to be in this sector, because sometimes we are in this sector not on purpose, but just by uh, sheer being associated and having friends in this sector. So, however, I do want to share a word on this evening, and I don't intend to be on here for a very long time. Yeah, Felicia Fee. Why did I say Felicia? Felicia Fee. Um, it is. There is always a choice. There is always a way of, and not just a way of escape, but there's always a way to walk away, a way to leave. But so often we're so excited about the attention, and most of this is attention. Most of this, um, in my observation, are people who want attention, and they want numbers, and they want to make money off this thing. And it's something that I heard, I believe, Sean Bradley say. When you look at it, most of these people are unemployed, or better yet, not employed. Let's put it that way. And this is all that they have. So sometimes when you put yourself in a position where this is all you have, then you do what you think that you have to do in order to maintain and grow. However, I often say this, I have been so blessed, and I am so grateful that of the people that God strategically um, set for um, different times and seasons in my life, that share things with me, that help me to make decisions that that were a blessing to me. I mean, a blessing beyond belief. Never would I have thought that I would be where I am today, if it had not been for God strategically placing people in my life in the seasons when I needed them the most, that helped to guide me. Even though some of them might have felt negative at the time, um, they were eye openers, because one of the things I find about the medicine that really works, it doesn't taste good. It doesn't always taste good when you put the spoon in your mouth, and you may even gag a little bit on swallowing it. It may be a little challenging to swallow. But once that medicine gets down in there, it does the work. It does the work. And it is sweeter and more, and your body becomes more um, receptive to it and what it is supposed to do, that allows you to heal. It allows you to heal. So I am again grateful for those people who taught me, who shared with me, um, who enlightened me on the different phases of life, that when I got, and I have to say this, when I got to 50, um, it was a smooth transition. It was a smooth transition. It wasn't anything that I fought with, or went back and forth, or didn't want to leave. uh, my 40s, or didn't want to relive my 20s. I think that some of the people that I have observed on here, especially the older men that I have noticed on here, are not transitioning well. Um, they have not put the toys in the attic. They continue to bicker. Um, they continue to be the poster people for um, gay men, if you will, for gay men, and well, black men first, then gay men. The perception of what a lot of people have of gay men and black men, a lot of these people exhibit that behavior, anger, um, not being able to get along, putting people in a position to choose sides. And if you're not, with for me or with me, you're against me. And it's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. And the things that I have noticed that we fight over. Hello, welcome, Mysterious Mermaid. Good to see you. The things that we fight over, that I've noticed that we've been fighting over, is nonsense. And people keep saying this, make it make sense. That is an impossible statement. You cannot make sense out of nonsense. If it has no sense, how can you make it make sense? Okay? If it has no sense, how on earth can you make it make sense? It is impossible. It is impossible. And you never hear me talk too much about things that are impossible. But that's one of the impossibilities of life. You cannot make sense out of something that doesn't have any sense, that's not based on sense, that doesn't have sense as an ingredient. So, some people are saying that, are observing that it is ego. Yeah, I think a lot of it is ego, but then most of it is more than ego, it is ignorance, because some of us have this view that we have to be this, and that we've achieved this, and that we have to hold on to it by being someone else, or we climb up the ladder by being someone else, by taking someone else's personality on, by copying someone else, or by competing with someone else. And that's not necessarily so. Again, um, God made each of us differently. He made us differently with all types of different gifts, callings, and talents. And all of them are meant to work together. They are meant to join together and work together for a common goal. Again, I did a Wednesday word once called team, TEAM. Together, each achieves more. So when we come together, we achieve more. And coming together does not mean that we are all going to agree. And it is very important to understand that just because I disagree with you doesn't mean we have to argue and fight and have beef. I'm amazed at the mentality of people that think because you disagree with them, that the next natural transition is to beef and argue and curse people out, and slander people, and malign people. It For me, that is not, I want to say that's not my experience, but when I say that, that's not what I put myself into. That's not, I've done my best to develop a different side of myself, so that that's not my chief goal. That's not, if you disagree with me, yes, I will do my best to show you. I will do my best to show you um, what my thought process is, so that you will understand. However, I'm not going to try to convince you so much to my way, as much as respecting how you feel and you're respecting how I feel. But when you get a whole picture, you're able to understand. So therefore, there's no need to fight. Uh, Miss Arel says they can't be a poster for gay men. You need to be a poster for yourself. Love and respect oneself. And you're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. But when I say that, I mean of the stigmas that come along with being first a black male and then a gay black male. That's where, that's my point of view of that statement, because people have impressions of what, or stigmas as to what black gay males look like and behave like. Um, these individuals, and it's amazing because these people are 40, 50 years old, behaving as if they are the it's like the old hen, attempting to, or not accepting the fact that they are the old hen and trying to compete and trying to uh, be that young chicken. It makes no logical sense. It makes no logical sense. And one of the things that I've observed is that these people are all getting into these older men are getting into beef, especially when they beef with with other gay men or men. Period. They are usually people that are younger than them, or people that may be their age or older that has sense. It's amazing how someone will bring sense to a situation and you call them Gramps. I and then the what's crazy about it is that you're in the same age bracket. You're calling somebody 10 years older than you Gramps, or 9 years older than you Gramps, and old. And it's amazing to me. You're basically in the same decade, boo. Basically in the same decade. So you are 50 calling a 60-year-old man Gramps. I don't know. That, to me, um, and that says a lot about yourself and the insecurity that you live under. Because again, you don't understand that insecurity, so you behave in a way to deflect it and to make someone else look bad or feel bad. So I mean, in my observation, but you know, the things that's been happening, I've been in some chats and I've been watching, but mostly I have stayed in the bushes of a lot of these situations when I would go on. You know what, Felicia Fee? That's one of the things that and I have a little situation behind that. I agree with you. Um I was having a conversation the other day with a friend of mine, and the friend of mine called me old man, and they actually older than I am, and for some reason I never, I don't see myself as an old man. Um, I don't feel old, and but however, at one moment I thought about it and I said, "Oh my God." Oh my God. And then I begin to thank God because there are so many that have not reached this age. And some of those who are in these beefs and whatnot had better be very careful, because it takes a lot of energy to beef, and it becomes um, stressful when you have to live a life of beef, and it opens your body, your insides up to all kinds of diseases, especially if you are not taking care of yourself. So, what you may have overcome in the past may come back with a vengeance because of the um, evil intent, um, the stress of trying to um, win the beef. Because that's another thing. Everybody wants to be the beefologist. They want to be the queen or the king of reeds. And I've come to the realization, because yeah, I can get down and do it too. I've been there, done that. I've been there, done that, believe me. And God has blessed me with the gift of gab and a tongue that slices almost as sharp as the Bible, as a two-edged sword, cutting, going and coming between the marrow and the bone. But however, I realize that I don't have to do that in order to get my point across, nor do I put myself in those situations that I have to do that on a continuous basis. Now, I'm one for giving you the opportunity to understand my thought pattern and my thought process. Uh, Not in a negative way, but I try to do it positively and uplifting. So, um, yeah, but a lot of these people, I would admonish them to sit back and take stock and check out some of the things that they some of the mentalities and the energies that they put into unnecessary behavior, because you may not get to be the age where somebody would call you gramps or pops, or give you the respect of wisdom, because with age should come wisdom. With age should come wisdom. With age should come wisdom, with all the experiences that you've had, all the trials, if you will, that you've come through. They all, at when you get older, you begin to see them more in a light of, oh, that's what this was for. That's why I had to go through that. So everything that you've gone through up until that point has been uh, learning, and has been wisdom that reveals itself in the situations and the relationships that you have when you become, older or seasoned. But like I said, there are a lot of the guys and the girls that I grew up with. If we were to do roll call right now, there are so many of them that would be called in the memorial section of the program. And I do mean many of them. There are so many of the guys that I've sang with that are no longer here, that did not make it. They did not make it to my age. They did not, and some were older and some were around the same age. And then there were those that were younger than I that did not make it. They didn't make it to 30. A lot of them didn't make it to 35. This hair's hot. A lot of them did not make it to 40. So I am happy to be where I am. I am happy to be where I am. To me, it's an insecurity in that person. You only you're only as old as you feel. With age, you would think comes wisdom, but some don't get it. Yeah, some I think we all have access to it, Miss Etta. I think we all have access to it. However, a lot of us close the door because we want to want to might not be the right word, but some of us, we all have access to it, but there are some of us who prefer and make the choice to live in one dispensation of our lives for whatever reason. We decide that we don't want to mature with time. We don't want to become better with time. We just want to stay in that particular mindset of that youngin, if you will. You know, I'm not old. I'm not old. I'm not old. No, none of us are really old when you think about it. But age does represent wisdom as far as I'm concerned. It does represent wisdom. It represents experience. It represents now, you know, it's just like the Bible said. He calls the young because they're strong, and the old because they know the way because they know the way, which means they have experience, they have come through those paths, they have gained wisdom to look back or to reach back and instruct the younger men how not to fall in the same pitfalls that they fell in, or give in to the same temptations that deterred them from their destiny. So yes, Pastor Stephen McNeil Lennon, welcome. It's good to see you. Exactly. 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 We're still learning. And what I like about it is that we are learning a lot from our past in conjunction with our present. And what we've learned from the past, we're able to apply in the present to get through a lot of the uh, situations that we find ourselves. And when we implement those things, um, I don't know. I can only speak for me. It is a pleasure to look at it, and you get joy when you say, I didn't think I knew this. I didn't think uh I didn't think I knew how to get through this, but the answers came, and the answers came because I'm connected to the creator, and because he brings those things that I've already gone through back to my remembrance, and the application and how it applies to this moment, so that I am able to get through it. That's right. Some of them are mentally locked at a stage, mentally locked, and not just because of trauma, but some of them have decided that that is where they want to stay. That is where they want to stay. Yes, when we become a man, we're supposed to put away childish things. However, not all of us do that. And then, you know, not all of us have had the um, instruction to recognize when we have become a man. Some of us don't have the access, if you will. Well, then again, I have a friend of mine that believes in choices, and that there is information all around us to help us. But again, if we're not exposed to it, if we don't believe it exists, if we close our eyes to it, if we refuse to accept it, then we have made the choice to stay in that particular time zone. Hey, J. Dot, welcome. It's good to see you. It's very good to see you, J. Dot. And we are praying for you, J. Dot. We are praying for you, J. Dot. And again, Felicia Fee, you're right. We have to move and grow. We have to, but some of us refuse to. Some of us refuse to. And when you look around on YouTube, you see quite a few of them that refuse to move and grow, or grow and move. You know, they refuse to expand the mind, refuse to open the mind, refuse to be free. So many of the people, and not just on YouTube, but in the world, in the workplace, there are people that refuse to be free. They don't accept freedom. So they continue to wallow in their mess and want everyone else to respond and to give them the attention for being in that mess. But some of us who have got it, um, again, we know how to stay separate, not separated, but separate. Okay? We know how to be amongst the mess and not be tainted or controlled by the mess. Even though some of the things that I've heard, some of the things that I've seen really sort of kind of made me like, that's inappropriate, that's unacceptable. However, to address it, and it doesn't really concern me on that level because it's not directly directed to me, I can only speak in observation, or I will only speak in observation. I will only speak in observation. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. And again, for all of you that are here, I thank you. And hey, Miss Leo, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to you. So there's one thing I wanted to share, and I'm 32 minutes in, and I said I wasn't gonna. I always say I'm not gonna be on here long, and wind up being on here. There's something I wanted to share as far as a Wednesday word, and it is something that has helped me. And Pastor Stephen McNeil Lennon, it's on the line of what we were just speaking about, and it's amazing how how this conversation has led into this. Yes, Felicia Fee refused to hear and listen, and also refused to see. So many people refuse to see. The handwriting is on the wall with the interpretation, but they refuse to see it. Their inner eyes are not open to what the signs of the times are. And it is the 127th division of Psalm. The 127th division of Psalm. And it reads, except the Lord build the house, they that labor in vain that build it. I'm sorry, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman watcheth, but in vain. It is vain for you to rise up early, to sit up late, to eat the bread of sorrows, for so he giveth his beloved sleep. Lo, children are an inheritance of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman watcheth, but in vain. And that is very important because in observation, people are building houses and they're building platforms and they're building reputations and they're building brands, and their reason for building them are totally not number one, to be a blessing to anybody, not to share with anybody, not to give, but to take. And you have to be careful when you're involved with takers, because if you're too closely and too long involved with takers, you begin to pick up that spirit. And if you notice, everybody on here that's involved with a certain type of individual, you see that the behaviors are consistent between the two, whether they break apart, whether they separate. There are certain trademarks of that behavior that has become soul tied, if you will. They have become soul tied. They have become like minded, because two can't walk together except they agree. So, in fact, if we're not thinking on the same lines, if we're not in agreement, we cannot walk, because our directions are different. Our motives are different. Our bottom line, it's different. So then, we cannot walk together except we agree. So if we are not in agreement with the Creator, if we are not in agreement with our inner God voice, if we're not obedient to our God voice, if we're not open, if our ears are not open and our eyes are not open, we may be building a house, but the labor is in vain. In other words, the labor will profit you absolutely nothing. I don't care how much you build. I don't care how much you build. It is built on sinking sand. It is built on the sand, which when the wind came and the rain came, the whole plan, the whole building construction completely fell apart. The instruction of God is for us to build according to the plan of God, according to the plan of the creation of the Creator, how He uh, purposed and put purpose in our life. So if we don't allow Him to give us the direction and the blueprint, we labor in vain. It's almost like climbing the ladder to success. And when you get to the top of the ladder, you're on the wrong wall. You're on the complete wrong wall. So I just want to encourage everyone in here, please, whatever you do, especially in this season, with what we're seeing and with what we're experiencing, allow your eyes to be opened and your ears to be open. There are people on here that I supported, irregardless of their faults and their frailties or what have you. However, I began to see things that were not consistent. I begin to see the brick wall that has been built. I begin to see the lack of content. I begin to see the lack of one controlling one's own platform. Certain individuals have given up subconsciously. Here's the problem: subconsciously given up control and have deflected to someone, has deflected that someone else is trying to take over their platform, when the people that have taken over their platform has got them doing behaviors that are unnecessary to prove points that are not important. How do you do that? I blame J Dot, or accuse J Dot, for trying to take over my platform, but Felicia Fee has got me jumping through hoops. Makes no sense. It makes no sense. Felicia Fee has got me responding and showing paperwork and all this kind of stuff for stuff to debunk stuff that she's put out, which is not important. And I've been saying lately, hashtag, where is the content? People have left their content and their original brand and are going helter-skelter in observation, sitting online, sitting in front of us, responding to and allowing text messages and all this kind of stuff to be their content, responding in real time. And it is disheartening. And again, I have to say this along with that. I keep this disclaimer. Exactly, Miss Leo. I'm not disappointed because I had no unreal expectations. And again, let me say this. I cannot say this enough. When you do not have unreal expectations of people, you do not become disappointed in their behaviors. Where is the content? Where is the content? Who have you helped today by your content? Your content becomes everybody else. Everybody else, everybody is your content, and you have no content. Everybody is your content, but you have no content, because when I walk away from you, as a matter of fact, and I'm going to say yes, and I do walk away from the content that you're giving because it's old, it's boring, it's not exciting, and it's so filled with vitriol that I really don't feel for it. I don't feel for it. I'm not letting it in my spirit. Ain't gonna do that. So accept the creator. Build a house. If the house is not being built by his plan, you're building in vain. If you walk away from his plan, his blueprint, his instruction, you are building in vain. I asked somebody, I think it was about a month ago, they up all their people from their house and whatnot with all these numbers and all this kind of stuff. But my question was, where are your endorsement deals? You've been on here 10 years. Where are your endorsement deals? Why are you still struggling? Where are the endorsement deals? Where are the products or the companies that want you to represent them? Where are they after 10 years? Where are they? You're talking about numbers, but you beefing for dollars to keep yourself afloat. Where is the content? And when you look at these people, you can see clearly that their labor is in vain. Again, it takes a lot of energy. It takes more energy to lie and to fight and to deflect than it does to live in your truth. You expend more energy. You become exhausted, and you exhaust other people that just watch you. And so that's why it's very important for you to be careful who you give a click and view to. It is very important. Welcome in, Bernadette Vlogs. It's good to see you, my dear. It's very good to see you. It's very important who you give your click and your view to. It's very important, because when you give a click and a view to certain individuals that do not line up with what you believe, especially if you're not rooted and grounded, you open yourself up for little things that may seep in. Remember, it is the little foxes that spoil the vine. It is the little foxes that spoil the vine. It's not the big things. It's those small things that slip in. So if you're not rooted and grounded, those small things will slip in, and before you know it, you'll be all the way in. Yes, it's exhausting. It's very exhausting when you're fighting every day. Every day. Think about it. And I'm glad you brought that up, Miss Leo. You know, because that is a perfect testimony to what I'm saying. If you are fighting every single day, it is obvious that your building is not, that you're building it yourself and you have no assistance from God, or you're not building it from God's plan or God's blueprint. You're building it from your own because you're fighting every single day. And people begin to see, and I said this a long time ago. I began to see the aging process quickly overtake certain individuals on here because of their behaviors, because it costs so much to be that person that you portray. And you can tell me this is entertainment all you want to until you are blue in the face. There is no way in the hell and the heavens, in the words of Larry Reed, there is no way you can come on YouTube and be so vicious and call it entertainment and say that I turn this off. And no, this is who you are. This is indicative of who you are. It's indicative. It is a picture of who you are. And yes, you're right, Pastor Stephen. It is a trick of the enemy. He's not going to, the enemy never comes. He never comes with a boulder. He always comes with a pebble. He always comes with something that he feels is going to crack the glass. He doesn't have to break the glass. He just wants to cause a crack in the glass. And then once the glass is cracked, he begins to pick at it. And before you know it, you are a full-fledged member of the situation of the drama. And then we say, we don't want drama. We stay away from the drama. However, we're always up in the drama. We're always in there with being part of the numbers. So many of us, I have observed, and what begins to happen is you begin to wait for your opportunity to cuss somebody out, to read somebody, and to be in beef. You wait your opportunity. You sit there and you practice what you're going to say and how you're going to go in on them. And so, I am convinced of Psalms 127. Except God builds a house. Whatever you do, God ought to be able to, or you should be able to put God first. You should put God first. As a matter of fact, he should be on the throne of your life, in the center of everything that is about you. It should be your creator. Everything, every decision should disseminate from him to you. And you carry it out. And when you do, you will find that, number one, you won't fail. Number two, things will be done a lot quicker and a lot more effectively and efficiently. Because it's not good just to be efficient. It's also good to be effective, because not only do you affect your life, but you affect and infect every life that you come in contact with, whether it's good or bad, whether it's positive or negative. You affect and infect every life that you come in contact with. Absolutely, even in entertainment. But it gets me when people on here say, oh, it's entertainment, it's just YouTube. And I said this from the day I got on. I observed the effects that this was having on people outside of YouTube. There are people that are not subscribed. There are people that just are experiencing YouTube, and their lives have been affected by something they have seen. Now, remember, the eyes are the windows of the soul. And the eyes are also a portal by which we take spirit in as well. Things that we see are often imprinted on our conscious mind, and then into our subconscious mind. So then, when the situation that resembles that experience, or an experience comes up that resembles what has been implanted in our subconscious mind, it is rushed to our conscious mind, and we react one way or another. Okay, Miss Etta, enjoy yourself. Enjoy your evening. Enjoy your day, my dear. Thank you for coming. It is important that we guard our hearts by guarding our eyes and our ears, especially. Because again, what we see often is imprinted on the mind. What we hear is imprinted on the mind. So when we put ourselves in those situations, it wears us down. It makes us to an extent weak to fight it. We become more accustomed to it and we become comfortable with it. And so now we've opened ourselves up to these spirits from these people, and we're walking around miserable and bound and in chains to an emotion that we really don't want. And then it becomes that much more difficult to get back to our regular selves, our normal selves. I mean, it was like this past week and weekend, it was like unbelievable. One thing after another. Over here, over there. You put out the fire over here, a bigger blaze is over here. And the bottom line is, in the next 3 years, where do you see yourself? I'm not doing the 5-year or the 10-year situation. Where are you going to be in the next 5 years with this type of behavior? Hey, Shaquila Dixon, it's good to see you and welcome. Miss Beverly, how are you? Where are you going to be in the next year being exposed to all of this? What is your thought pattern going to be? What is your appetite going to be? Because most of us, the more we ingest, the more we want. Welcome, Travis A. Scott. Welcome to the live. The more we get, the more we want. So what happens? In the next year, what do we do? How do we see ourselves? Do we see ourselves like the Creator intended us to be? Or do we see ourselves as this individual that has taken on so much of this negative and detrimental, these detrimental spirits that we become? Welcome, Deanna Irving. It's good to see you. Do we become those same people 3 or 4 times worse? How do we see ourselves in the next year, in the next 6 months? Because it's all fun until you're in that position, until you're in that place. So then, except God builds that house, except God builds that platform, except God builds that brand, except God builds that channel, he that is laboring totally and completely in vain. It is not going to last. It is not going to stand. It's only for a season. It is only for a season. And it is going to crumble. Hey, Miss Hogg, good afternoon, Miss Hogg. Good evening, Miss Hogg. Welcome. It is going to crumble. It is definitely going to crumble. On-site April, good evening. Welcome. It's good to see you. It is going to crumble. It is going to fall. And when it crumbles and falls, who's going to be the one standing there with the embarrassment on their face? Who's going to take the loss? Who's going to have to rebuild? And then when you rebuild, how are you going to rebuild? Now, there are certain content creators on here that have good content, but they're overshadowed by the hoopla, by the negative, by the beefing and the fighting and the they're overshadowed. However, it really doesn't last long when you look at it. And those of us that are real, those of us that have allowed our house to be built with God in mind and uh with God's blueprint. We'll be all right. Ah, Pastor Stephen, you're absolutely right. I'm so glad you made that statement because that's what happens when it falls. So often everybody that is connected with that house that was built on sand falls with it. It is a domino effect. Absolutely, Travis A. Scott. Absolutely. Absolutely. The days of, um, if you will, clean fun. And when I say clean, I was listening to Sean Bradley because I have not been on YouTube as a content creator for 10 years, but I'm aware of some things on YouTube. Yes, there was a time when it was fun to be on YouTube. You did your reading each other, but you weren't trying to destroy each other. It wasn't permanent. It was not permanent. Now it appears that it's more ratchet than ratchet TV. It's a mentality that the ratchet TV and the soap operas all lumped together, and it amazes me that people have allowed themselves to slide into that mentality because again, at the end of the day, at the end of your life, what is the legacy that you want to leave? Not just to your children or your children's children, but to people that will see who you were down the road. What do you want to leave as a testament, as an epitaph? What do you want to leave that says who you were? Good evening, Patrice Cunningham, aka Internet Granny. You know you're always welcome here. I appreciate seeing you. But first, before we rise up and Miss Scott, before we rise up and do real content, we have to rise up and put an end to the foolishness, because we do have people that are rising up and doing real great fulfilling blessing content. But until we stop participating in the foolishness, if we don't stop participating in the foolishness, the real people with real content that would rise up will be overcast, if you will, by the hoopla of all the other stuff. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes it means turning a deaf ear to, because at this point, most of us that have been on here any amount of time, we know the personalities of the individuals that come on with mess. We know who the scammers are. We know who the people are that keep the mess going. So we have to turn a deaf ear. Even if that means unsubscribing. And I'm not telling anybody to unsubscribe from anybody, but it's about keeping your peace and holding on to your own peace. Yes, there is an audience for real content, and I agree with that. But when you look at the differences, when you weigh the differences, it is harder work to sometimes in a situation like we're in right now to remain true, or remain true to true content, or remain true to real content, because you're so overshadowed by getting into the mess and being recognized in the mess and getting those numbers. People will number bash you. And then let me say this, Miss Scott, I have been attacked. Things have been said about me on here. My name has been brought into stuff around here, and I just sit in my corner and let my light shine. However, if I address the situation, I address it and it's over with. I'm not going back and forth. That I'm not going to do. I'm going to call it for what it is, and then I'm moving on. However, I've been in that situation where people have baited me. Again, based on this statement that I keep hearing, which is a false statement. In order to be in this beef sector, you have to beef. That is a lie straight from the pit of hell. And in my in my position, I realize that is a lie straight from the pit of hell. So I command that lie to go right back to hell where it came from. I don't have to beef because I'm in this sector. Exactly. It doesn't deserve a reaction. However, Addressing something and reacting to it is two totally different things. If I address it, I address it. You address it. Addressing it is intellectual. Reacting so often is out of emotion. So we have to begin to get our emotion or separate our emotion from our intellect. Again, because you cannot think and feel at the same time. Most of the people on here, if you look at them or if you observe them, you will see that they become people of emotion rather than intellect. You say something about me, I'm feeling, you hear that phrase, feel some type of way. I'm feeling some type of way. I'm feeling some type of way. So I got to get on my live, or I got to go live and totally come back at you in an emotional way rather than, or reactionary way, rather than addressing it if it is necessary, because even sometimes addressing it is not necessary. There's one individual in this sector that has I felt was baiting me, I think twice or three times. This individual tried to, because they didn't know who I am. They don't see, people on here don't take the time to get to know you. Hey, Angela Johnson, welcome. And I do too. I hate it when people say this is the beef sector, because it's not. It is the black sector of YouTube. It is definitely the black sector of YouTube. So if it calls for to be addressed, then we address it and we move on. Otherwise, reacting to it is only emotional, which causes it to go on and go on and blow up and blow up. And then I say something about you, you say something about me. Then that's when we go into the doxing. Because people want to prove a point. They want, it's about winning or one-upping. So I dox you to get a one-up on you or a two-up, because now I'm learning information and I'm able to hit you below the belt with the information that I have. And at the end of the day, who really wins? Who really wins? Because again, to tear me down, you have to tear you down. To disrespect me, you have to disrespect you first. Or at least this is the way I see it. And I find it easier keeping my self-respect. I find it easier keeping my self-respect, respecting you. You fall under that umbrella of respect because I respect me, and I'm not going to disrespect me or go out of my way to disrespect me to disrespect you. Exactly. Entertainment, nah. Hey, Torian, welcome. Haven't seen you in a long time. That's my son, y'all. Torian Donald is my other son. Exactly. People lower themselves. They lower themselves. And you'll find that a lot of people will lower themselves for acceptance. They will lower themselves for acceptance. To be accepted, they will lower themselves. Why? And here's the part that really gets my goat. You lower yourself for acceptance, and then you stand up and you yell, "Oh, you gonna respect me. I demand respect." But you don't remember. You don't demand respect from yourself. And I will say this again, and if you don't believe me, put it to the test. You cannot disrespect someone else without first disrespecting yourself. It is impossible. Not only a messy little coin, not just a messy little coin, not just a messy little coin, but a little coin or a messy little coin that will not last. As soon as they get it, the coin is gone. In other words, they've already spent the nasty coin or the messy coin before they get it because it was ill-gotten gain. Ill-gotten gain will always be fleeting. It will never produce interest. Never, ever. Never produce interest. It will always be a coin for the moment. And that moment that is before you get it in your hand. Because once you get it in your hand, it like poof. And if you don't believe me, if you do not believe me, just observe the people that get it that way. I adjure you. Okay? I admonish you. Admonish means to strongly suggest, almost to the point of making you. I admonish you just to stand back and observe how fast you can tell when they come on live. You can tell how quick that coin that they're doing all this mess for lasts, because they come right back on after they got the coin. They come right back on doing the same stuff. So you can tell that it's gone. I love you too. I love you too, and I'll talk to you soon. Hey, Vesha G, welcome. It is amazing. Yeah, I see somebody talking about the love of money is the root. The love of money is the root. The love of money. The love of money is the root of all evil. The love of money. The love of money is the life of. Is the life of. Is the feeder of evil. Right. There was no coin to speak of. There were no ads. These were there was no AdSense. We were here to be creative, and it you know, it's important. What you just said is so important. It is so important. And I have to pay I want everybody to pay more attention to, we were more creative and had fun. The coin has changed this whole platform. It is because of the love of money and the greed. I will agree that if you take the coin away, some of the mess will go away. But then again, some of these people are messy to the core. And on this platform, they have the tendency to be able to let that side of them out. So for some of them, yes, some of them will come under subjection and they will find their creativity and they will change. But there will be some that will still be just as evil and as surly as they are, because that's in them. There is no way you can put all that on the come on and be a character on YouTube and it not have an effect on you after you cut it off. Alisa Clark, welcome. Yes, I agree, Vestagy. It is very important. However, if at this point it has gone too far for them to do that, then if anything, they will make it a little more difficult to get to the coin. But at this point, and even from the time, Travis Scott, that they started it, and I'm sure you know about that, they have made it more difficult. I don't want to say more difficult, but they have upped the stakes to get to the coin. And so people will do what they feel that they have to do to get there. Maybe if they make it a little more challenging to get there, maybe more people will not be turned on to do some of the things they do. But again, these are the people. A lot of these people are people that claim to have been on 10 years or better. Yeah, there was, and from what I'm hearing, there were mess back then, and from what I saw when I was coming off and on as a subscriber or just as somebody interested, there was mess back then, but it never that mess was never set out to destroy anybody. But again, it is the people that have never had anything so often that have not worked for anything. You can tell a person, even on here, you can tell a person that has worked for what they got, that have sacrificed for what they have, that have had a practice of building. So when you all got on here at that particular time, you all had your jobs, you had your professions, or you were working in your professions or working on your professions. So this was, again, an outlet, a place where you could develop your creativity. But now you don't need that. And again, a lot of the people that claim to have been on so many years, it's as if they want to hold on to a spot that's could be up for auction, if you will. You know, it's one thing about becoming mature and becoming seasoned. Oh, Mr. Bradley, welcome. Right. And that's a direct quote from last night. It was a good, fun mess, not an evil mess. And that Mysterious Mermaid, that was actually my point. Some people have nothing to lose because they don't have anything. So then it is incumbent upon us who are able to see and discern. And I'm tired of people talking about throwing around these words that they don't know what they mean. They don't know the what it really encompasses. Those of us who know and see, those of us who have developed a spirit of discernment. Spirit of discernment, meaning that God voice within us that does not allow us to be captured by the foolala. We observe, we discern, we can discern who these people are by their behaviors that have never had anything and that have used and abused people throughout their lives off of YouTube to get where they got, to get where they are. Oh, and thank you, Sean Bradley, for the super chat. I appreciate that. Well, where's my shoe? Oh, there it is. Hey, Mo, welcome and good evening. Now, I'm on here almost an hour and a half, and I said I was going to be on here long. I said that in my mind. I don't think I said it in the beginning, but anyway. So, we who can see these things and have been taught to see these things and have experienced, and see, that's what happens when you mature, when you become seasoned. Okay, when you mature and become seasoned, with age and experience, there is a pattern. There is a pattern to everyone on YouTube that has worked for something in their lives, that have come on YouTube. You notice that there is a certain pace. You notice there are boundaries automatically. It's funny because you don't even have to hear them talk about their boundaries. You can see their boundaries in their behaviors, because there are certain things that they will not do. Or let me put it this way, there are things that they will not allow themselves to do. And likewise, there are things that they won't allow you to do. So there's a different mentality when you have worked for something, when you have sacrificed for something, when you have paid your dues for something, and you come on YouTube. You see that in their behaviors and in their demeanors, because they've already invested in a life outside of YouTube. So the investment that they put into YouTube is transmuted. It is transmuted. It is the same principle used to achieve, the same principles they use to achieve in their personal life that they bring on here, and you begin to watch them achieve. However, those that have not invested, have not sacrificed for anything in life, their behavior on YouTube shows it. They're always either in something or behind the mess. And we can't mix that or miss that or redetermine that as entertainment, because it is not. It is just what it is. It is mess. It is someone that's on here. Eddie Peeler, good evening. Welcome. Good to see you. You see them, and they're not willing to sacrifice. They're not willing to pace themselves, but they come out of the gate shooting darts, slanging and banging, out windmilling in the YouTube streets. For what? To get to a certain position, to try to solidify themselves at a certain level. That's what they do. And again, I'm going to repeat this one more time. Not only, except the Lord build the house, them that laboreth labor in vain. Okay, or they that build it labor in vain. What in the world does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? Then what will you give in exchange for your soul? Your peace of mind. Because again, if you're doing that on here, when you shut this thing down, you're in your bedroom or you're at your kitchen counter or your kitchen table devising who you're going to go after next, what kind of beef you're going to start next, to keep those numbers, to keep that money coming in. And this is just my observation from sitting back and looking. They become desperate, constantly desperate, mentioning people that they have nothing to do with, that have nothing to do with them, trying to drag them in. Yes, Travis, craziment. Craziment. And this is why it's so important for those of us who are like-minded to be supportive of each other, to band together, and to make the decision that we are no longer going to be customers or patronize these individuals. We can make the change. We can make the change. And that is by making the decision and sticking to it. And M. Bernadette, you're right. It's the same principle. And when you steal somebody's husband, how you get them, whatever you do to get them, is what you're going to have to do to keep them. But the sad part is they never are able to keep it up. You talk about keeping that same energy. These people are never able to keep that same energy. It's a flash. It's a shiny object. And then they start waning. And every time they start waning, they try to do something to come back. They'll insert themselves in some situation that they have no business. Exactly. Patrice Cunningham, not dirty ourselves. We have to keep our hands clean behind the scenes and in front of the cameras. Content creators as well as subscribers and onlookers. Yeah. And I'm telling you, Travis, looking at these people, you see that they are exhausted more than me. I was exhausted by a lot of the things that I was seeing. A lot of the thing, and some of the stuff I didn't even see. I just heard about it. But yes, they are more exhausted. And you know why? Because they cannot rest. And see, here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. They don't understand the difference between sleeping and resting. A lot of people sleep, but it doesn't mean they rest. They don't rest because they don't get into that REM sleep, I think it is, REM sleep. Or they stay their mind, in other words, their mind is steadily moving. It's not relaxed. They're not relaxed. So if the mind doesn't rest, neither does the body. It just continues, and they begin to look like it. And some of the signs are blowing up like a Macy's Day float. They become thick around the edges and, well, thick all over, really. They become discontented. Yes, physically, you begin to see it. They look sleepy all the time, tired all the time, um, as if they're not taking care of themselves. They're always, thank you, REM sleep. They're always frantic. They're always frantic, even if they're playing the game of lowering their voice and talking like this, as if they're trying to hypnotize people to feel some type of way. I'm just talking about what I've observed. Not his hair is really making me hot. This is what I've observed. And in observation of it, I'm glad that I'm able to sit back and observe. And oh man, because from that I learn how to navigate and how to be happy and content with sitting in my corner, letting my light shine, knowing that I don't have to be bothered, I don't have to get involved. J Dot, they got bladder problems. Yes. Bladder. Problemos of the bladder. Yeah. Oh, blow up like a Macy's Day float. I mean, Travis, that's when you think of how big. Now, see, when you're seeing, I live in New York, and the Thanksgiving Day parade, you always, I used to see it on TV and whatnot, all that kind of stuff. But when you go to that parade and you see those floats up close and in real time and how big they really are, some of them are as big as 5-story buildings. So when you think about it, sometimes when I say it, I have to catch myself from laughing. But it's true. You see them blow up and blow up and blow up. And some people, they don't get fat because they eat. They don't gain weight because they eat. They gain weight because they are miserable and they don't eat. They are in a state of depression, and eating is not part of their depression, but they blow up because they are so discontented, and they've allowed themselves to step out of what God planned for them, or a relationship, and they become skewed by what they heard and saw other people achieve, and they've given up any kind of integrity to attain it, that they are unsettled within themselves, and it caused that physical reaction to that spiritual unfed individual. And see, the thing I've learned is that when I'm spiritually content, physically I'm good. And that's why I promote on my channel a relationship, not a religionship, but a personal, intimate relationship. Personal, intimate relationship with the Creator. Whomever you believe the Creator to be, get to know the Creator for yourself, because the way your relationship, the way He prescribes a relationship with you is different than my prescription for that relationship, for my relationship with Him. And I'm going to tell y'all something. The greatest experience I've ever had, and the most settling experience in my life, is my spiritual relationship. Spiritual relationship, not religious relationship, but my spiritual relationship and spiritual centeredness. The effect that it has on my physical, on my mental, has been the greatest experience of my life. You find no room to be jealous of anyone for what they have achieved or what they have. You rejoice with them that do rejoice. You celebrate those people that do celebrate. And when it's time to feel passion or concern and mourn with people, you're able to mourn with them and lift them up. Good evening, Satin. It's good to see you this evening. You're able to be all things to all people. And it is sincere. It is authentic. Because you now know the key to being one with God and one with yourself. Let me say that again. You now know the key. When you're in spiritual relationship and spiritual, you are now able to understand what it means to be one with God and one with yourself. Being who He made you, but having a direct connection, not a connection through mama, not a connection through daddy, uncle, aunt, sister, brother, preacher, evangelist, prophet, apostle, but you have that connection directly with Him. Directly. And it's nothing better than being able to sit and say, speak to me. This is my issue. And He calls the whole universe right there to your aid to show you everything that you need and everything that you need to do to get what you need, to change what needs to be changed, to eliminate what needs to be eliminated. And then to put the things in you that you need to be a success. Okay, I've been on here an hour and 45 minutes, people. An hour and 35 minutes I've been on here. And I'm grateful. I am grateful for your time. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your time. Again, let me admonish you with these words from the 127th division of Psalm, and that is, except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman watcheth, but in vain. And I didn't get to the second half of that. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman who can watcheth. ETH means continually. The watchman continues to watch, but in vain. In vain is to no avail. It is to no avail. It is to no avail. So I admonish you, keep this in mind. When you go into these chats and these lives, and keep that in mind. The signs are there as to who is building that house, who the watchmen really are. So that you don't be caught up, so that you don't inhale the vapors and allow that thing to get into you. I do see a lot of the changes that are happening in the atmosphere of YouTube. And let me encourage you, there are times when there is a spiritual warfare going on, and when we all decide not to straddle the fence, because some of us are straddling the fence, and we put it under the guise of all of us like a little mess. Yes, all of us do like a little mess, but we all have boundaries. When the mess becomes dangerous, when it leaves being the mess and it becomes an all-out attack of destruction, it is not only dangerous to the individual that it's being done to and the individual doing it, but it is dangerous for those who witness. And let me tell you something. I'm going to leave you with this. I don't know if anybody in here has had any experience with hitmen, with a hitman, a professional hitman. Let me warn you. And if you don't believe me, just step back and look at what has happened recently. Listen to this phrase. A hitman will never leave a witness. If a hitman leaves a witness, it means that he is open to being identified as the hitman, as the destroyer, as the killer. So a hitman has to take every witness out. Okay? So if you are a witness to someone else's destruction, trust me, that same person that destroyed that person has to take you out because you're a witness. You know too much. You know too much. In every, and if you don't believe the principle, look at some of these movies that have hitmen in them. They never leave a witness. They always come for the witness. In other words, they always come for who they are linked up with. They always they never leave witnesses, because they don't, if they identified, they are subject to being penalized. All right. And I said I just wanted to leave you with that, right? I appreciate all of you and your time for stopping in, because your time is valuable. Your time is valuable. And I appreciate there's some of you that I haven't seen in my chat in a while. And I appreciate you dropping down and saying hello. I often go over to M. Bernadette and I stay in the bushes. I appreciate you. I appreciate Travis Scott. Oh, I'm so glad it's been a pleasure for you. Thank you so much. Vesha G, Patrice Cunningham, you know how I feel about you. J. Dot, Vesha G, all those that have left. Deanna Irving, my son who came in with his hard head. Pastor Stephen, I appreciate you spending time here with me. Yes, I appreciate it so much. And Travis Scott, I really enjoyed your input. I appreciate you, Elisa Clark. Stay off the phone. Stay off the phone. Stay off the phone. What I'd like to do this very moment is there are some individuals in this chat that are in need of our support, and who are facing surgeries, and who are dealing with situations, medical situations, physical situations in their life, that I would just like to say a prayer. So all of you that are here, if you would just hold on for that 1 minute and agree with me, touch and agree with me, become of one mind. Well, thank you, Travis Scott. We all come at this point in one mind, and we focus on the healing powers and mercies of God that are available, wonderful Savior, that are available to us. We have the power to pull those things out of the spirit realm into the natural realm and see them manifest. However, we can only do it if we all touch and agree, if we're all with one accord and with one mind. So I would like at this point for us to all get with one accord and with one mind as we go into prayer and lifting up the individuals that desire and stand in need of healing. Lord, we thank you for this moment. We thank you for this almost 2 hours that we have been on here. We came on here to give a Wednesday word to your people, to encourage them, to strengthen them, not just to inspire, but more than inspiration, we need strength. We need strength to go on. We need strength to stand in adversity and in the good times. God, we thank you and we are so grateful to you, Yahweh, for your power, for we understand that your mercy endureth forever. We stand in need of your mercy. We stand in need of your healing graces. Two of the people that are in this chat that we know of is Patrice Cunningham and J. Dot, the juke joint. We understand and we realize that there is nothing hard for you, nothing difficult for you, nothing that you cannot do. And we are grateful for that power and we're grateful for that knowledge. We pray, God, that you would stretch out your mighty hand, that you would touch and deliver and heal. Make them a miracle testimony to everyone that they come in contact with. Total healing is in your hands, and we believe that you will do it for us. We really believe it, and we say thank you and that we are grateful. Now, God, I pray a blessing on everyone under the sound of my voice that is in this chat, those that may have left this chat. God, we pray that you would continually cover them, open their minds, God, give them wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. We pray that you would allow your spirit to cover them, make their way easy. Give them the strength to stand and to go through. Bring them out on the other side with victory. Protect them from the evil forces that would overtake them and that would sift them as wheat. Those that need to be reminded of a relationship with you, don't let them rest until they come to the knowledge of needing a relationship with you. Not a relationship that binds them and chains them, but a relationship that causes total and full freedom in their mind, in their spirits, and in their lives. Not a fictitious God, not a fictitious creator, but a creator that is real, that they can hear speak to them and feel move inside of them, direct them. Ooh, and we are grateful. We are grateful that you are hearing our prayers. So, God, let the word of my mouth and the meditation of our heart be acceptable in thy sight. You are my strength and you are my redeemer. I am grateful. And it is so. It is done. It is done. Francois Love, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's good to see you. I'm glad you got in for the prayer, beloved. I'm glad you got into the prayer. I appreciate all of you. And my love for you is to see you be strengthened. Is to see you be strengthened and to be part of that strength. Believe me. I'm not one for just inspiration. Inspiration is good. Inspire is good. But so often when people inspire you, as soon as you leave out, there is something that confronts you that can siphon off that inspiration. Depression can come and completely knock out that inspiration where you feel like you were never inspired, but strengthening you with the meat of the word, strengthening you. There is no devil in hell that can take that strength from you. Nobody can take your strength. Now, you can give it up willingly and by choice, but no one can take it from you. So I bless you all with love. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you and I love you all. Now, as I often do, and I've been on here 2 hours. And well, I'm not going to apologize because I was blessed. And the blessing always starts with the giver first. So if I'm giving it out to you, I have to be blessed first. So I was blessed. And in being blessed, I had to share that blessing because it overflowed. So I'm not apologizing for the time. I appreciate every one of you. And I decree and declare unto you much love, more love than you can conceive, more love than your heart can feel, and much more love than your hands can hold. Why? I do that because I decree and declare love unto you and much love unto you, because when you love God, love yourself and your fellow man, you have kept the commandments of God. And when you keep the commandments of God, it makes him happy. And what he does when he's pleased is he makes you satisfied. When you please God, God makes you satisfied. So I love you all and thank you and have a good evening. Bless your hearts.